One of the things that you hear a lot about and you see a lot about is this 2.0 culture. You've got Web 2.0, you've got governance 2.0, you've got religion 2.0. But the thing that I'm not really hearing people talk about is charity 2.0. And I don't know why, because I think it's an idea worth spreading. That's what we're here for today. So that's kind of what I want to talk about today. I started an organization called 5 Hole for Food, but before that, let me give you a bit of background. I spent some time in the Silicon Valley, and in the Silicon Valley, you live in a startup culture, and it's a culture where ideas aren't, they're not scoffed at. They're challenged. It's a place where you can throw anything out on the table, and great things come of it. All you need is a little bit of swagger, and if you're able to tell your story, it's amazing where these ideas can go. And that's a culture that I took to heart in the 4 years I sort of spent down there on and off. And it's something that I tried to apply once I got out of the valley and came back to Vancouver. But it's something that introduced me to social media. It's a place where I really learned about what the internet was about. And I'm not here to talk about the internet, but I want to set the framework for something that you probably all know but don't necessarily realize. The internet is this incredible place. It's a place where ideas can be spread. It's a place where you can interact with people and collaborate. It's a forum where it doesn't matter where you are or what time it is. The geographical and time barriers are non-existent. And it's a place that I came up with the idea for 5 Hole for Food. It's a place I was able to marry my passions. I love hockey. As you can see, I'll play hockey for food. I'll do a lot of other things for hockey. But it's a place where I came up with 5 Hole for Food, and it's something that stuck. Twitter and Facebook. How many? Quick show of hands. How many people in here are on Twitter? That's pretty cool. How many people are on Facebook? So you guys get social media. I want to talk about how Charity 2.0 works for me, because it's a place no one's really explored. You look at the blockbuster charities out there, they do great work. I'm not here to detract from that, but they use social media as a complementary tool to communication strategies. Well, why don't we challenge that? Why don't we use social media to start something new? It's kind of what I decided to do. In 2010, I thought, you know what? I want to drive across the country and I want to play hockey for food banks, and that's what we did. In 2011, this past summer, we did it again from St. John's, Newfoundland to Vancouver, BC, and we raised 43,000 pounds of food. Here's the kicker. It was entirely done through Twitter and Facebook. We had zero budget, and we grew a team from 3 to 40, again through Twitter. The people you see up behind me here are some of the people that are just integral to the 5 Hole for Food team. Some of the people that really get it done. And that's one of the things that I want to point out here is social media is a tool. It's the people behind it that make it happen. But the interesting thing about these people is not even a year ago, I'd say 8 months ago, I didn't know who any of these people were. I met them on Twitter. I threw an idea out there, and I was just overwhelmed by the number of people who came back and said, that's an incredible idea. I want to participate. I want to help. And so we've built a team of 40 rock stars across the country. Like really, these guys are incredible. And together, we've been able to put together a cross-Canada venture that's it's rocketed in the last 18 months. Now, the very interesting thing about this is that, when you look at the nonprofit sector and the nonprofit world, you're greeted with all sorts of ideas. And we wanted to create a model where anybody can give back with their passions. I was able to marry my passions of social media and hockey. But there's other people out there that don't want to fit a certain mold. So why don't we break that mold? And that's what we did. We put out the call, and different people lent their services. Some people were photographers. Some people were graphic designers. The 5 Hole for Food logo, which we put together, was created by a guy in Texas. I've never met him. His name's Charlie. I actually haven't talked to him since he designed the logo. But it's this idea of collaboration. Why don't we take what social media is so good at? It's collaboration, it's putting ideas out there, it's spreading things that people think are cool, and why don't we actualize that offline? And that's what Charity 2.0 is to me. It's leveraging our networks, it's leveraging our resources, and it's creating something and taking that potential that's online, that potential that's taking the world by storm, the internet, which has grown so incredibly recently, and it's putting it to tangible good. And to me, that's what Charity 2.0 is, but it extends past that. You see, this is a really cool picture of us playing hockey. And I don't know how many of you can figure out where this is, but it's a helipad. And it's not a helipad, on land. It's actually a helipad in the middle of the ocean. And the reason I bring this up is 5 for Food, it's done by people, but it's so much more than that, because what it is it's built on a premise that I think is very important. It's important to fostering change anywhere. And it's this idea of creating an experience. You know, what do you remember? The things that are fleeting, where you drop a can of food in a food bank on your way at the grocery store, or something that creates an emotion, you know? There's great, how many, show of hands, how many people have done the text to give program in the wake of a natural disaster? You guys kind of know what I'm talking about. You text a number and it gives $5 to, you know, Red Cross, whoever. Those are awesome ways to generate rapid relief financially. But I'm kind of left going, now what? I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I haven't done anything. And so for me, I started to grapple with that. I'm like, how can we take what we're doing and get people to care? And I came up with this formula, if you will. It's this idea that a cause is just a cause until you add an emotion to it. Once you add an emotion to it, you've got a social movement. And that social movement, I mean, we've seen social movements created on lesser or greater things. We've seen social movements come around with Occupy. We've seen them in the Middle East. But it's this idea there's an emotion attached to it. And to that end, I thought, you know what, why don't we take something that everybody loves? People love hockey. You know, there may be people in the room here that don't love hockey, but for the most part in Canada, people love hockey, you know? And we thought, why don't we take hockey and use it as a vehicle to give back? A lot of people out there want to give back. They just don't know how, or they don't have a way to marry their passions with a good cause. And when we showed up in St. John's, Newfoundland, we had people coming out to play hockey that had heard about us on the internet. It's this incredible thing. And when you create that experience, it creates a legacy. It's this idea that the emotion they experience when giving to their community and coming together, they foster relationships, they foster memories, they foster you know, a culture of community and feeling where it's gonna come back down the road. It's this ripple effect, if you will. So while we're driving across the country and, you know, playing hockey, playing a game, we're actually uniting people and giving them an opportunity to experience something they've never experienced before. And it all ties into this idea that charity isn't sexy. You know, it's a dog-eat-dog world out there like anything else. But if you have a story and you have a passion, you can sell it to anybody. You can create that emotion in anybody. And this is a perfect example because where this helipad is, it's in the middle of the ocean. We were actually on a boat from St. John's, Newfoundland to Halifax. We almost missed the boat. In fact, I was given the cell number of the captain of the boat, and I had to beg him to hold the boat for us to make our second game of the trip. That's right, we almost ruined the trip after the first game. So 13 cities in 17 days, and we happened to get the captain to hold the boat. Now, if that's maritime hospitality, I'm not really sure what is. But we were able to create a story. And the reason the story is so important to us is it's not about playing hockey. It's not about raising food. It's about creating something to share with people across the country. There's a lot of people that'll never get a chance to drive across Canada. I'm fortunate that I've been able to do it twice. The incredible thing is that in the 2 times I've done it, I've seen it in a totally different way each time. I mean, this country is beautiful, but not everybody gets that chance. And so while we're out there raising food and while we're driving across the country, we also want to share those experiences with Canada. And that comes back again to the giving experience. This idea that if you allow people to live this trip through us, they're getting excited before we're even there. They're getting excited to play hockey and help the food bank. They're getting excited to make a difference in their community. And all we tell them is bring a hockey stick and a can of food. If you think about it, it's so simple. In fact, I don't even sometimes tell people bring a can of food. I said, bring your hockey stick and come out, because their sheer involvement and the awareness that's generated has a much farther reaching effect. When it comes to the experience, one thing that has been so crucial to getting this off the ground was something that I think we sometimes lose and we forget. You guys saw the talk earlier, the girl talking about children and how they're the future. Well, one of the things I really admire and something that I've tried to stay true to is this childlike optimism. You know, you don't see boundaries, you don't see obstacles. People, when I came up with 5 for Food, told me that it wasn't going to work because I came up with the idea in March 2010, and in June 2010, we were driving across the country. The numbers didn't add up. It seemed impossible. But it's this idea of taking an idea that you are so passionate about and not taking no for an answer. And the reason I have this picture up there is there's 3 types of people in the world, in my mind. There's people that love what they do. There's people that do what they have to do in order to, afford or do the things that they love. And there's a very rare few that do what they do and love what they do. Sorry, they love what they do and they do what they love. And if you can find your way to marry your passions with what you're doing, it's incredible the change that can come as a result. And the reason I bring that up is it ties into my buddy Aiden. I met Aiden this summer. He's actually the son of someone that, again, I met on Twitter, go figure. But he's a buddy of mine that I constantly think back to as a reminder of this childlike optimism. He heard about 5 for Food, and without even thinking twice, he just saw hockey and giving back to the community. And he thought, I play hockey, why can't I give back? And he asked his mom to film a video of him on her cell phone. She posted it to YouTube. And it was a plea, if you will, or a story to his school. He talked to the principal, and he stood up at his school in North Burnaby, and he said to everyone, this weekend, I'm playing hockey for food on Granville Street, and I encourage you to bring your friends and come out and give back with me. And he didn't question, what their plans were. He didn't question any ramifications as a result. He just saw this as an opportunity to marry his passions. And it's this idea that, when you're out there, everyone's got great ideas. Ajay pointed out the power of a seed, and it's channeling the childlike optimism that we all have in us, but sometimes forget or misplace. It's taking the giving experience and creating something meaningful that's going to create that legacy and ripple effect, and it's tapping into the things you love. You don't need to find a mold. You can create your mold. You can break the mold. And I think that's really what change is all about. And that's what something that we try to focus on at 5 for Food in the team that we've built and the things that we do moving forward. I had the pleasure of listening to Romeo Dallaire speak, and he said something that really resonated with me. He said, the youth in today's society, they're really latched onto the NGO movement. And I think that's true for the most part. But what really got me was the thing he said afterwards. He said, if they don't find something they like, they go out and create it. But here's my question to you. Why does that have to stop with the youth? Why can't you guys go out there and create the change you want to be? It seems cliche, but cliches are cliches for a reason. And at the end of the day, if you can channel your passion, tell your story, and create that emotive experience around what you're doing, you're going to be not only affecting change now, but change in the future. And frankly, I strive not for the Band-Aid solution, but for the long-lasting solution. The change that's going to be there 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road. And if you can channel and tap into the resources around you, it's amazing the things you can do. So with that, thank you very much. And I encourage you guys to leave this wondering how you can bring together your passions and ideas, because it doesn't have to be about hockey, it doesn't have to be about the food banks. But every one of you in here is passionate about something equally important, equally incredible, and each of you has the power to make change that goes, farther than the reach of today. Thank you very much.